Okay, what we have today, children, is this incredibly heavy piece of marine equipment, a marine radio.
Mayday, Mem, this is Sydney Radio, Victor India Sierra, replying to Mem. Copied your position and copy man overboard, over.
Here you reply, this is Mem. Yacht was rolled, lost man overboard. That's the position, that time of loss. Currently still searching, motors working, everything else is fine. Over.
Mayday relay, all ships, this is Sydney Radio, Victor India Sierra, Sydney Radio, vessel Mem reports man overboard, in position 374208. This is Sydney Radio, standing by.
We believe we can see a light, red flashing light, low to the water, within about a mile from us.
Elusive is coming alongside the stricken yacht for that other emergency right now, so I'll just listen out and I'll report should I hear anything. Over. Kingara has picked up 8 survivors in a life raft. Do you copy? Over. I have picking up 8 survivors.
So this is a Sailor HF Marine radio telephone. It's even got a tunable dial, a round dial, a bit like the Flying Doctor service, but it hasn't got all the colourful denominations on it. It's got all the common marine channels. The receive ones are down the bottom, and the transmit ones up the top. This is a pretty serious piece of equipment. You could choose the mode and then tune up the antenna with that meter. There's a weather forecast channel. 2524 is quite popular for small ships. 2056, 4125 still one of the main marine channels, as is 6215 and 8291, so it'd still be quite usable. To change receive frequencies, you press these buttons here. Sounds like quite a mechanism inside. And for transmit, you turn this big knobbies here and you go up the frequencies. And of course to stress on 2182. And you can change the ones on the other side. There's a knob, where is it? There it is. And you can change from left to right and use those frequencies or those. The reason I got this, I thought these were frequencies 417, 404. I thought it might have been useful as a long wave emitters, but they relate to the 4 meg radio telephone duplex frequencies. So it only goes down to 2 megs, which is a pity. I thought I might have had myself a long wave transmitter, but not so. Although the tunable receiver does have long wave on it. And a very official handset with press to speak. Big antenna insulator. It comes complete with an alarm test and dummy load. Well, it seems to have quite a sensitive medium wave receiver.
Obviously expecting larger job losses in the high risk category.
Well, it doesn't sound like AM is dead yet. It doesn't quite work in sideband because the BFO doesn't come on, although the filter is very narrow on sideband, as you can hear. Well, we'll put it on long wave, see if it picks up anything.
Information Zulu, download until 2100 UTC. Control zone revert to class GS please. 18. Preferred Ursula for preferred runway and circuit direction. Preferred AI basic procedures. Automatic weather information service 120 decimal 9. Present information Zulu.
Shortwave only goes from 1.6 to 4.5. So at this time of the day, there's not much to listen to up there. Well, that's the marine weather forecast, but since the BFO doesn't work, you can only hear it as in unresolved sideband. As you can see, there's plenty of information on the web about these radios. I think they're made in Denmark or something, or were. All the circuitries are there. There's the output stage. Now I think I'll have a look inside this test box. As you can see, it's meant to be screwed onto the bulkhead of the ship, all heavy metal construction, antenna connectors there. This is a dummy load device, and also to test the make sure the emergency alarm is working. That's the switch action. Very solid. That I think is some kind of dummy load resistor thing. And I think you loop through your antenna here, so either be direct or via this dummy load monitoring box. And that would be a pickup coil device going to a little diode detector thing, and runs a speaker so you can hear the output. The alarm tone coming out demodulated. I wonder if we can get the shipping forecast.
It's the last shipping forecast coming up on Radio 2 Longwave in just a few seconds' time, not quite 5 minutes to 6.
Let's have a look inside the receiver unit. There's the audio power amplifier with a couple of transistors. This is the main receiver board, probably IF, and the BFO oscillator. The crystals are under these covers. And they got little trimmers and inductors to get them onto the frequency. And how's this for a very complex switching arrangement? The receiver runs on 12 volts, not 24, and there's a regulator transistor there, I should imagine. The crystal oscillator switch panel sort of electronics. Okay. Under the crystal switches, someone's fiddled with that, probably to improve it. The manual tuning is quite a nice smooth action. Time to look at the power supply unit. Quite a hefty supply. Here is the inverter for converting the 24 or 12 volts to SPAT 700 for the valves. You can get either a main supply as well, or 12 or 24 volts. This is the 24 volt one. Now it's time to attack the transmitter section. Well, the most startling thing about this is all this complex channel changing arrangements and band changing. Look at that. It's a work of art. And a little like one of those organ programming type things. Incredible. Chain driven. It wasn't just changing the crystal and tweaking a few things. You had to program all this these drums with these little bolts that you put in that would activate the various switches as you turned the thing. A bit of corrosion there. The salt water always gets in. There's a test meter there when you're doing the adjustments, and a big clunky changeover relay. Part of the transmitter driver board with a crystal filter. And more of the drivetrain. It's a mechanical masterpiece. The transmit crystals under a perspex cover, and the driver tube is a 12 BY7 underneath that grill. The circuit board underneath the power output tubes. Now these are TT21s. They're like a KT88 with a top cap. Like the 807 is to a 6L6, this is an RF version of the KT88. Basically the same electrical characteristics, but designed for RF. That would work for audio as well, quite well apparently. The main RF choke. Now this was sold and serviced by Long Distance Communications in Surrey Hills. If my memory serves me right, the chap who owned it unfortunately passed away when he fell off a cliff at Kings Canyon while taking a photo. Now the PA stage actually works. I've fed some signal into the driver, the 12BY7. It puts out 120 watts of SSB, about 50 watts of AM, so that works. There's a fault with the driver board, probably quite simple, but I haven't really got the time and interest to look at it. It's going to be somebody else's problem soon, so there we are. All that for 100 watts. There's a nice roller inductor. Obviously the program tuning gets it in the ballpark, and use the inductor to tune it up for the maximum output. And some nice big coilies there. It's the cases that weigh, that weighs a ton. It's the cases sort of made out of, thick steel. That's what adds the weight to it. If it's all put together in one piece, one person can't really carry it. Now the interesting thing is this was made and sold in the 1970s with all its massive mechanical strength and complexity. At the same time, you could have bought a solid state radio with the same power output and basically the same features. You didn't have the tunable receiver, but you just go and get a portable radio for that, and you'd have redundancy. But yeah, by the time when these were still being sold, you could have bought a Marine Kodan or one of the other brands, a 100 watt solid state stage, switch crystals, only 10 channels, but that's enough really. So it makes you wonder why people had these massive devices when they could have had a solid state device with no chains and mechanical switches. The Codan was all diode switching and stuff, so a lot simpler. So there we are. This is the inside of a Codan 6801. This is an Outback version, but the marine versions were much the same. And you could put it in a small yacht instead of sinking your boat with all of that. This is the power output stage of the Codan. It's got two MRF 121, so it'll put out 140 watts PEP, no problems. The same as those big Velvies, and no need for big inverters and stuff like that. I have to do a complete video on these Codans. They're amazing design. These output stages, well, I've never had one pop under very bad conditions. They seem to be totally bulletproof. Yes, Roger on that point and pen. Over and out. I can see why they were using these up till fairly recent times, because if the captain talks on one of these, it looks really important. It was meant to mount directly on the bulkhead of a ship in the bridge or somewhere like that.